What's up people, it's Wasabi and I'm back with another review. This mouse that we have today was sent to me by Fantech to share with you guys. Thank you Fantech. But as always with the content on this channel, these are my thoughts, personal opinions and experiences with the product. And today we have the Fantech Helios II Pro S. Now before we get on with the review, here's a quick look at the packaging because that's what you pay for too. First you got the Helios II Pro S, an instruction manual, braided USB-C cable, very nice and bendy, a thank you card, warranty card, a set of stickers, extra wide skates and a set of dot skates, a set of grip tapes, this thing, a high pulling rate wireless receiver, and that's pretty much all that's included inside the box. And before we go any further, let's manage some expectations here real quick. For people who are unfamiliar with Fantech, they have been around for about 15 years, founded in Indonesia since 2009. They sell gaming mice, keyboards, gaming chairs, streaming peripherals, and all that good stuff. Today we have the Helios II Pro S, which is the latest version of the Helios 2. It's designed with a right-handed symmetrical shape and meant for the claw or palm grip. This version of the Helios 2 weighs in at 55 grams, same as before, and it comes in at a price of about $95. The Helios 2 Pro S comes in two color options, black, which is what we have today, and a white version with grey contrasting details. This features a simple no-frills design which, for better or worse depending on your preference, doesn't particularly stand out in any way. The model label is on the side and there's a small branding on the back of the mouse. The scroll wheel has a dust shielding design which is a feature not commonly seen on gaming mice, and cutouts in the base help to bring the weight closer to the 55 gram target. It has a mode switch that allows you to swap between wireless, wired and Bluetooth. It also has a dedicated DPI button which can be remapped for different functions through the software if you choose to do so. The moment you hold this mouse, you can tell that the build quality is really good. The mouse feels solid from top to bottom with no loose parts. The mouse buttons, side buttons and scroll wheel are very nicely fitted in, and there's no creaking or flex on the sides of the mouse. It feels very well put together. This power button is extremely tight though, like it's tight enough that I need to mention it. You kinda have to use your fingernail to move the switch when you want to swap between wireless, wired or Bluetooth mode. I do not own the previous version of this mouse, but I did my research on the release and consumer feedback, and the biggest complaint was the build quality, which I really cannot say the same about this. The build quality here is enough to satisfy most gamers' expectations of a gaming mouse today. Now, before I get into more detail with the shape and how it feels from my experience, to put things into perspective, my hand size is 17.5 by 9. The mouse buttons have a slight groove, but it's almost unnoticeable under your fingertips unless you position your fingers towards the tip and further off to the left and right corners of the mouse buttons. It's a little too spread out for me, but it really depends on your hand size and how you grip your mouse. On the top side of the mouse around the midsection, it's very flat, so you don't get much upper palm support, and because of that, using a palm grip with this shape feels rather unnatural. The rear end of the mouse spreads out and feels wide in my palm, but along with the curves on the sides, it works very well together and allows for a secure hold on the mouse. It's curved enough to give you good control over the mouse and not too aggressive to the point where it feels uncomfortable for long hours of game time. Now this part is a reference to help people visualize the different grip styles on the Helios 2S with reference to my hand size. With my hand size of 17.5 by 9, I use a claw or relaxed claw grip, and these are the two that feels best on this mouse for me. And for the aggressive claw grip, it's doable, but then I find my fingers positioned too high up on the mouse where the clicks feel like it needs more force to actuate. Now this is a shape that I do not enjoy using the palm grip, even though it's recommended on their website. The top of the mouse just feels way too flat from side to side for that and feels very unnatural when I try to do a palm grip. But the fingertip grip style is not something I would use with this shape because the shape for my hand size feels pretty wide towards the back and there's not much room to maneuver. But of course, if you have larger hands, you can probably make it work. However, this mouse is recommended by them to use a palm or claw grip style. Stated weight on the website is 55 grams, and with my unit, with the wide skates that it comes with, it weighs in at 56.2 grams. Now, this version of the Helios 2 features a new coating, which is what they call an improved ultra grippy coating. While it may not be ultra grippy, it offers enough grip that I don't find it necessary to use the grip tapes that it comes with. Helios 2 Pro S is fitted with Huano transparent blue shell pink dot mechanical switches. Man, that's a mouthful. In the version before this, they used TTC Gold optical switches, but they decided to make the change to these mechanical switches based on user feedback and the market preference. You get good solid clicks with nice tactility, and they are pretty nice, especially when the mouse buttons are very securely fitted into the main body. Very little pre-travel and a fair amount of post-travel with the clicks, but it's not enough to be considered a deal breaker. I would say it's a very balanced mechanical switch experience that you get from this mouse. And on my crispy meter, I would put them right about here. I noticed the experience between the front and rear side buttons are different. Front side button has little to no pre-travel, some post-travel towards the end of the click, and feels snappy with its tensioning. In contrast, the rear side button is much lighter to press, still not much pre-travel but more post-travel towards the end of the click, and almost feels sort of mushy. The rubber threads on the scroll wheel provide a good amount of grip, however I noticed that the rubber can feel a bit slippery when your fingers get a little sweaty, unlike some other gaming mice. The scroll tensioning is just right, it's not too light or too stiff, and the steps are very short and easy to distinguish. On the other hand, clicking the scroll wheel requires a firm but not too strenuous press. Towards the end of the click, it feels a little mushy and not as instantaneous as I would like for competitive games, but this is just personal preference. Now here's a quick sound test to give you a better idea of how the buttons and the scroll wheel sound. The Helios II Pro S is fitted with the port 3395. It's still the most used sensor on the market that you'll find on most high-end gaming mice, and it feels great and performs well as always. The industry is moving towards newer sensors to prepare for future market expectations, but still, I would not consider the port 3395 to be anywhere close to being considered outdated anytime soon, or being overshadowed by the newer port 3950 based on performance. With the high polling rate receiver, you can go up to 4000Hz wireless polling rate, and at the moment 8000Hz is only accessible if you use it on wired mode. 8K wired polling rate is not something that means much to me because I enjoy the wireless freedom of a modern day mouse, and if I were to use a wired mouse, I would prefer something with a lighter build. Connectivity wise, you can use this mouse wirelessly up to 4000Hz wireless polling rate right off the box. This only has the high polling rate receiver and does not include a USB receiver like the original Helios II Pro. You can use this mouse wired up to 8000Hz polling rate, and it has Bluetooth connectivity as well, so you got the convenience of using this mouse on other devices. The Helios II S has a battery life of 60 hours at 1000Hz wireless polling rate and 40 hours at 4000Hz wireless polling rate. And this is a bit unusual because typically the battery life is significantly shorter at higher wireless polling rates. From my experience, the battery life has been sufficient, and if the battery life is important to you, it's best to stick to 1000Hz wireless polling rate. This software will be very familiar to some people. It's a reskin software that many new brands use. Here you can program the buttons, adjust your DPI, set up your different profiles, select your polling rate, toggle motion sync, and all the settings you need to get started. The stock skates are not bad at all. These are wide skates, they provide smooth glides with decent speed and control, and this mouse comes with an extra set of wide skates as well as a set of dot skates in case wide skates are just not your preference. The mechanical switches in this mouse feels nice to use. They are not as snappy as I would have liked, but they are nice to press. The sensor stability and performance of the port 3395 feels good for gaming. Been feeling good at 4000Hz wireless polling rate, but I usually go back to 2000 or 1000Hz. I feel like this mouse offers an experience that is satisfying for most gamers, and it's quite an enjoyable shape for relaxed or regular claw grip. I'll say that overall it's a pretty good quality mouse that covers most of what you expect from high performance gaming mice today, except maybe for the weight if you're into the trend. So in conclusion, what are 3 things I like about this mouse? First off, the build quality of the mouse is excellent, feeling solid and well made in your hand. However, I have to say that the experience of using the front and back side buttons is not consistent. Secondly, I gotta mention the feel of the transparent blue shell pink dot switches in this build. The tactile clicks are satisfying, not too heavy, not too light, and it complements the overall build quality of the mouse rather well. And finally, this one has a high polling rate wireless receiver included, which means you get the full tech experience right off the box. Now, what are 3 things I feel can be improved with this mouse? Well, overall, out, it's a pretty good mouse and it's the best version of the Helios model, so everything that I'm gonna mention may just come off as nitpicking. First is the weight, and I'm okay with it, but based on market trends, many people will look for lighter options these days. Some would argue that you get diminishing returns when you go below a certain weight, but you know, weight has become one of the most important factors for consumers, whether people like it or not. There is a big market that would be interested in this mouse if it were lighter, and it would be great to see if they can create a lighter version of this one or a mini version which would get a lot of attention. The second thing is that I expected more of a personalized software from a brand that has been around since 2009. Of course, even better if there is a web-based software which many gamers prefer today. I would rather not download a program just to make a few mouse adjustments and never use it again. And really, that's the only two things I don't have free. Now, final thoughts and what I think of its value. Well, this feels like a mouse where they are playing it safe. I don't have any major complaints about it except for maybe the side buttons that feel quite different in the tensioning. However, there is nothing much about the Helios 2 Pro S that comes off unique when you look at the many options in today's market. On their website, they stated that there are secret upgradable features that will be announced soon, which at this point in time, I would guess is a 8K wireless polling rate update, because that's what most brands are doing. If you already own the previous model and it's been working just fine, I wouldn't say that this has enough to offer to be considered an upgrade. But if you're curious about Fantech's products, then this Helios 2 Pro S would be the most ideal option to try. And for $95, it's not a bad deal at all. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.